All right, okay. And so you've just said that you have opinions, and I feel like this is another one where we might find out some of your strong opinions. But thinking about more the technical side of running, more so than the programming aspects to sprint training. What are some cues that you found like really resonated with you and have been really helpful in making a meaningful sort of impact and improvement to your performance?
I thought you were going to ask me about wickets.
Oh no! I know when to. Yeah. No, I
Get
don't
me
want to unleash
canceled.
the beast.
No, so well, if you're talking about cues when it comes to technical form or specifically, yeah. So it's always relaxation.
Okay.
Relax, relax, relax. That's the main one I'm coming back to. It's just programming that in. It's so important because
Okay.
it allows you if you from a biomechanical standpoint and a sensatory standpoint, it allows you to feel when things stretch. Some of the greater coaches in the world, we talk about levers and pulleys and who we're talking about, Dan Pfaff and so forth, who are awesome, biomechanical explanations. But so it allows people to feel where muscles are stretched and extended. And when you can feel that live in the speed we move at, that's a key to your best performances, because it allows you to get into the territory where you're utilizing the body's natural systems without inhibiting them.
Yeah.
Animals such as cheetahs and lions and stuff, when they chase or when they get chased, they don't pull muscles. They can do it when they fall, if they fall, but they don't pull muscles because they don't have any thoughts that get in the way of the movement pattern.
Yeah.
So they're just moving by impulse, allowing muscles to stretch, which makes an optimal contraction after. Which is, if you don't do that, you're never going to have that great performance. You're just going to lock yourself in, and you're going to be working against yourself. I'm not going to go into detail here either, but we forget that we do so much training that goes into power output that we forget to remove what is hindering and inhibiting power output.
Yeah.
And that is, and that's the protagonist, and that's the fascia and all this stuff. Especially when you get older, you have to think about that. But young guys, I'm saying guys, of course girls as well, but specifically men, we tend to use a lot of muscle strength, and we like, let's go, and we power through things, and you never get speed from that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you only have to look at like the different body shapes of some of the people that have performed some of the fastest times in history to know that it's not a case, or it doesn't have to be a case of who has the most muscular strength that's going to perform at the best. So, you look at, I'm sure he gets fed up of being picked on for this example, but somebody like Christophe Lemaitre, who's run 9.9, but obviously he's not a hugely muscular guy. But he has some of those elastic qualities, and I'm sure his fascia is very well set up to kind of be responsive. And I think one of the things that I really liked, the analogy with those in the animal kingdom, I think that was a really good one. And it makes you realize sort of how primal an activity sprinting is, and how easy it can become to sort of like overcomplicate it and think too much. And like you say, kind of those animals that they don't have kind of those thoughts or those conscious pathways that sort of inhibit that instinctive way of moving that we sometimes allow to get in the way.
And that is the distilled what sprinting is, because it's a primal instinct to some extent, but it's a trained form to execute, because we don't have energy for 100 meters. We don't. So that's why falling into just 60s as a competitive event can be dangerous, because you can manipulate yourself to 60 meters and get good times, but it's going to hurt you for the 100 meters. So there's this instinct of just releasing something out on the track, but you have to execute your form. Sprinting is a trained form built upon your primal instincts of competing, and all sport is war simulation to some extent, right? It's survival. So you train to become optimal within the laws of physics, the laws of biomechanics and inertia and all this stuff. But you have to allow your natural senses to release. And again, also, if you look at smaller components, something like ballistic movements, ballistic stuff, like medicine ball, for example, has the qualities of being plyometric and plyometric exercise for the rest of the body, which is very important. And it's ballistics, you're letting go of an object instead of holding it in. And all of these things play into, you know, these two components of the primal instinct coupled with a trained form that's optimal for what we do.
Yeah. Okay. All right. And then so thinking about life kind of off the track a little bit, and I'm interested to hear what you say here, because I think I wonder whether it becomes more, it's something you need to become more aware of as you kind of become a masters athlete and kind of gone up an age group. But how closely are you monitoring, you know, recovery elements? So things like, in particular, like sleep and nutrition, like they're the two that I would say that like the big rocks in terms of recovery. Like, how closely are you monitoring that kind of thing?
Not too closely, as in I have devices or I write stuff down, because I'm a bad sleeper as it is. If I would use devices and write too much down, I would probably be a little bit neurotic about it.
Yeah.
So I've taught myself to perform regardless of my state, my sleep state, and I sleep bad. I mean, this is a lifelong problem for me.
Okay.
I might sleep through the night one time per year. Otherwise, it's fine to wake up once or twice, but sometimes I wake up 7 to 9 times. And sometimes it's better, sometimes it's worse.
Okay.
It's usually better when you've trained a lot, but then you taper off, you know, and then the body relaxes, the nervous system relaxes a little bit. So I could be better at it, but at the same time, I don't want to get stuck in it and say I have a watch say if I'm going to perform today or not.
Yeah. I think that can really create problems if you have a big race and you wake up and your watch says you're not ready.
That's a problem.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. So here's the thing for me, David. So now we go into philosophy a little bit, but really quick. I think a privilege for me is coming from team sports and martial arts, because it teaches you that the mind can do so much, and you can put yourself in a situation of performance anyway. So you'll be optimal, not perfect, not maximal, but optimal for the day. So you just you focus on what you can do and not, you know, what could possibly be.
Control the controllables.
The mind. Yeah, I mean, it's so much more important than an hour this or that sleep, that you put yourself in a mindset we're going to get it done anyway.
Yeah.
So that's one thing. Now, when it comes to diet, I think a lifelong career in sports have taught me so much about it. There's almost nothing I feel I don't really know something about. So it's, again, something I don't write down, but I get on the scale often because I know exactly how that affects me. I know what it affects me if I eat pasta, say, or pizza the day before competition. I know the results of different outcomes through the years, and I know what I need to. One good thing about me becoming overweight for all those years was I had to learn everything about the deepest parts of nutrition outside of, because when you're in sports and you're in shape and young, you're not as affected by a bad diet.
Yeah.
When you're old and you're fat, you know, and stressed, it does.
Yeah,
it does. And I paid for it in certain ways, right? So I had to learn exactly what to eat and what to not eat. And so now I know, and I try to keep a good balance still. I try to reward myself after competition. I try to not overdo anything. I could always eat more vegetable, you know. But I think the problem today is more that we're afraid of things, rather, you know, we're afraid of meat, we're afraid of eggs, all of this stuff.
Yeah.
We get sold so much crap on Instagram from people that just want to sell you shit. So I think do your own research, you know, read about it, learn by eating and see how your body reacts to it, how your health is. Go to a doctor, monitor your health is a good thing. You could get your blood drawn now and then. Do things, especially for us guys, you know, when we're getting older, make sure do things that are good for your testosterone levels and your cortisol, which is a stress hormone. And if you're female, there are super good experts in that. I'm not an expert in it, so seek out someone that's done sports, especially into sports, and look into how they care for their health through their cycles and their hormones and their age group. Sarah is one of those, for example, who's really good at that. If you want to, if you want someone to talk to about that, if you're listening to this. But So other than that, I don't write anything down. I just try to be my best, and not fall into what I was when I became overweight, because that was a disaster. I was eating myself to death. And I think if I would have continued, I've been in serious trouble.
Okay. So, I mean, it sounds to me that sort of like with regards to your recovery, you're following what I would probably term like a common sense approach. So I mean, you didn't necessarily address it too much with sleep, but with nutrition, you're covering the basics, right? So you know you should be eating vegetables. You know you shouldn't be eating too much processed food, and you're doing stuff like that. You're not eating something that you know is going to make you sluggish the day before you have a meat.
Yeah. I
And
have two
then,
comments actually, David.
yeah, sure.
So two comments. So to roll back a bit to the sleep. So what I do to optimize my sleep specifically for competitions, so this might be a little bit more interesting then, is that there are a few things that correlate into good sleep. That is getting your ZMG, zinc, magnesium.
Yeah.
Taking a warm shower 45 minutes before sleep is known to be good. It helps me. It calms down the nervous system. Also, you heat up the body, and then the body needs to cool itself down. And if you look at the sleep experts today, neurologists, brain neurologists, they say we have evidence that the body cools down when you fall asleep. So it ties into that. There is, if you have many days of issues, which happens to me sometimes, I could take some melatonin. It does help. Yeah, just 1 or 2 days, and it'll help you fall into sleep, and you'll sleep a little bit better. Turn off these fucking cell phones, kids. That's just a disaster. Blue light right into your eyes. Not good. So turn that off, or at least put on night mode 2 hours before going to sleep.
Yeah.
Read a book. You know what I did once, David? It's just funny. I found a guy there's a video of a guy who checks paddles for table tennis. It's his job with the organization. So every championship.
Okay. Right.
Yeah, the champions and those that compete, they have to go through like 30 minutes. It's a team manager. They go in and they check the rackets. It takes 30 minutes to check the width, the size, the plastic, everything.
What, per racket? 30 minutes per racket?
Yeah, it takes so long.
Really?
The
Wow.
weight, the balance,
okay.
And you'll fall asleep when you watch the video.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to mention that. Now, so to move into the diet, or to the how you eat. Yes, I think one of the issues I had was when I always make sure I go plus calories the day before I sprint.
Okay.
So my problem I had before is I ate too much crap. So I started eating candy because I could eat all of a sudden, instead of eating more of actual meals.
Right.
Listen, there's a few things that's been good throughout centuries. Oatmeal, eggs, homemade cooked food on the stove, kids. Learn to cook if you can. It's super easy. Rice, potato, red meat is good for you too. Don't be afraid of it. Look into the science, but again, you do your own research about homemade food. You can never go wrong. Add some nice greens to that. Eat a good breakfast is very important, and eat your proteins throughout the day. And most of the time, all your base is going to be good.
Yeah. Okay. 100%. Just like common sense advice. And what I like about that is, going back to your very first point, is it minimizes the chance of you becoming overly neurotic about it, rather than writing down every calorie you consume, or tracking your sleep score and stuff like that. I'm sure that stuff does work for some people, but I can also see how it does lead. I get it. I mean, I can tell that you're a highly analytical person, and I feel like sometimes if you're highly analytical, then it means that you want to control variables and control factors, and then that can lead to that neuroticism regarding it as well.
Quick anecdote.
Yeah, go on.
Hit us
up with an anecdote.
No, but to speak to that, when I lost weight, then I was tracking calories, and I learned everything about it, and I was being neurotic about it because I wanted to see how low I could go, but still maintain muscle mass and all this stuff, right? So I spent 8 months losing weight, and tracking everything, but I didn't want to get stuck in it because it became so much of how little can I eat per day, which was not good. I just wanted to learn. So the takeaway from this is I got on the scale 3 times per day. So then I exactly knew what those calories meant in the real world, because calories on a packet can still have 25% difference, right? So that's an allowed difference. So don't get stuck on it. Learn about the quality of the macronutrients you put into yourself, the micronutrients you need per day. Get on a scale, learn the system, but don't get neurotic about it, because you're going to go up and down, and it's okay.
Yeah, absolutely. It's definitely going to fluctuate. All right, so just fun last couple of questions just to round off with. Well, it's fun if you like sprinting. If you don't like sprinting, it's probably not fun. But anyway, so favorite track workout. So you kind of, I mean, I was going to say your coach, you get to set this. So you've set on your piece of paper, this is at the track today. What's your favorite track workout going to be?
Block work.
Yeah.
Up to 60 meters. Sometimes do block to 60 meters is so much fun when you're in shape, because it's just so nice for the body to do that maximum and acceleration and feeling the gravity releasing from your body and sprinting.
Yeah. Okay. And then the flip side, then what would be the least favorite? And it's sort of
Well,
almost
guess.
like, yeah, well, I know what
Take
it's
a
going to
wild
say.
guess.
I can imagine that you've written down some kind of, we spoke about the tempo workouts. So I know you said you wanted to make them, you don't want them to be too horrible. It should feel like it's a fun day. But then you mentioned you're going out as far as 300 meters sometimes. And I can imagine that you look at the piece of paper and think, why did I write this for myself?
Yeah. That, I mean, those are, there's something that is worse. And there's, 150 is at maximum with, if you're doing staggered rest, which means you start with less rest and you increase it,
Okay.
which is basically for me the closest to, big flushes of lactic acid.
Okay.
I could get as a short sprinter. Those are horrible. I think I felt the worst though when we do, say I do a 6 times 120 at 95+% at also staggered rest. Those are the times I question my own existence. Those are the ones when I'm sitting cross-legged and I just want to be left alone. So, or the first 80, which I mentioned before, that session, the first time you do that during the season, you're just like, I can't do, how am I supposed to go back and do one more? I'm falling asleep and I'm feeling nauseous at the same time.
So with the staggered rest, I'm curious. So like, if you're doing 6 120s, what would the rest intervals look like in that workout?
Yeah, so there's an easy formula. You do half the meter rest, so half the 10-meter rest. You do six minutes first, and then you add 2 per rep.
Okay, so you're going 6, 8, 10, 6, 8, 10, 12.
Yeah, and then you can stay 12. Yeah. Or I mean, it's not exact science with people, so an athlete. So if someone needs more, like Carl Lewis said, I'll tell you when I'm ready, coach, or something like that. I'll run when I'm ready, coach. Some just need a little bit more, especially if they're really fast. Yeah. But yeah, so this again, I think we get stuck in old patterns as coaches. You do it 6 times 120.
Oh, definitely.
Minutes, right? Yeah. Move it around. You're fresh in the beginning. Why don't give a little bit shorter rest if you want to challenge someone, and then just add some rest towards the end to make it a little bit more pleasant to run fast.
Yeah, no, I think that's a great idea, and it's not something that I've even thought about, but I think that's a really good point. We've had it where, definitely been in a situation where, I don't know, if you let's say you're doing 6 120s, and then the recovery period between rep 1 and 2, feel like, I'm sort of like, you're sort of almost twiddling your thumbs waiting for the second rep, and then then between 5 and 6, you're thinking, oh my God, I need longer. So definitely manipulating that recovery period. I think there's, I can see the merit behind that. Yeah, for sure. All right.
Yeah, it seems to work. Yeah.
All right, Lion. Well, I just want to wrap up by saying thank you so much for taking your time to come and chat with me today. Share so much information behind what has led to such a great start to 2023 for you. Also wish you the best for the rest of the season. Do you have any more indoor meets before you start heading outdoors?
First of all, David, thank you so much for having me. It's always a pleasure talking to you. You're so kind and such a great host. I think you're the perfect guy for this format, and thank you for providing it for athletes. And even though it's a little technical today, just having this discussion from an athlete's point of view. So awesome. So we have our national championships this weekend. There's an actual chance of me making the finals, which is a lifelong dream of mine. But there's some hungry dogs out there, but I'll try to do my best. It would be pretty amazing at 45 to reach a national final. My athletes are there too. There's another one next weekend. I'm going to try for the world record in the 200. Now that I'm getting a little bit healthier, I think I have a good chance. And after that, I'll go into 1 month of training before we head to the world championships for us old guys for masters.
All right. Okay. Well, all the best with all of that. I'm going to be obviously tracking your progress and seeing how you do. And I'm excited to see how that 200-meter goes in particular. And I'm sure you're going to bring back some hardware from the World Indoors. All right. So best of luck. All right.
Thank you so much, David. Take care.
Thank you, Lion. You take care.